WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. I hope you're having yourselves a fantastic morning this morning. And inside the Cafe Kubal studios, we know that you fill your cup up right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Be it any one of their awesome locations, you can head out to Cafe Kubal today by going to the amazing staff at 3501 James Street, 401 South Salina Street, both in Syracuse, as well as inside Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse. And, of course, you could find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, where Rob Drummond and I just did a live show out there last week. You can go back and watch that at youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT and on the timeline of Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, so make sure you check that out. And, of course, at their newest location and drive-through location, the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse, so make sure you check out Cafe Kubal there. With that being said, we have an amazing show today here for you. I am so excited to have, for the first time ever, one of our guests, and then to have one of our guests returning, that I'm excited for our conversation and everywhere we're going to take it. So a lot of great stuff coming up here this morning with Jerod Smith. Jerod Smith, a 2024 D tackle/DN coming out of the Loomis Chaffee School in Windsor, Connecticut. He used to be at Somerset in Kentucky, and he transferred to the Loomis Chaffee School. He's got a couple years, but already has over a dozen offers, and as of this morning, in the last couple days, he's added a couple more. So we'll talk with him about all of the offers that have come through and everything that he has to be excited about here. I'm very much looking forward to speaking with Mr. Jerod Smith as well as Randy Edsall. Jerod Smith's going to join us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And then around 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll be joined by Randy Edsall in hour number 2. So make sure you don't miss a beat here as we get set to bring you a Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora episode to remember, starting off this week of Wake Up Call. So happy to be here with you, and had a great week last week, a long week, and in a good way, of just fantastic guests. So looking forward for everything that's to come this week, starting things off with Jerod Smith and Randy Edsall inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. So we're going to get things popping here very soon. But before we go to the conversation with Jerod Smith, we're going to be talking about it throughout the week, but let's get into it a little bit right now. This weekend of football was bananas. You know, what did I say before we went into this weekend of football? I said, you can view the bye week as a good thing, or you can view the bye week as a potential negative. And what I meant by that was, yeah, it's great to have the bye week and advance yourself to the next round, but the bad part of the bye week is that you may advance yourself to the next round, but you didn't play the week before. Because there's only one bye week team now on both sides, with 7 teams being in the AFC and the NFC for the playoffs in the NFL. Because there's only one team off, everybody else gets to play. So that entire field, 2 through 7, is out there, and you're not. So just crazy to see what happens for some fans. Go, Tennessee was number 1. We're getting Derrick Henry back, and then you got the Green Bay Packers and this and that. But the reality of it all is, like I said, going into it, the bye week could be a negative. The bye week could be something that works against you because you're the only team not out there. You're the only team not playing. You have an extra week off, which could be good to heal from injury, could be good to get guys back like Derrick Henry, could be good to extra game plan. But at the same time, you're not playing football. And no matter how you try to do it in practice and watch film and this, that, whatever, you cannot simulate a football game to its entirety. You can try to create the environment with your scout team of what that team's going to look like, but you can't. I don't care how good of a scout you are, you're not going to be able to 100% be Pat Mahomes, 100% be Josh Allen, or any of those guys out there. So to me, this was something where we look back on this and say Tennessee a 1 seed, Green Bay a 1 seed, and they both lost. So that side of it is that it kind of is a negative to have that week off because you're the only teams not playing. So Mike says OT rules need to be changed, although 13 seconds is really enough time for Mahomes to rally. So the Bills game. I'm going to be talking about it all week long, and that was something I wanted to get to after I made that mention of the bye week. I stayed up last night. I know a lot of you did to watch the game. Fantastic game, fantastic play by both sides, truly. And it's just crazy to me to see 13 seconds left on the clock. I mean, I know Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. I'm not saying it's crazy that Pat Mahomes did what he did. But to know that this offense, that this offense was going to, or pardon me, this defense is going to, in 13 seconds, give that up. Give up the game in just 13 seconds of time. It's awful. It's awful. Like, we know Tyreek Hill's faster than anybody, arguably, on this planet, but we know he's fast. We know he's capable. We know he could do a lot of good things out there. But sweet mother of the baby good Lord Jesus, did he run amok here late in the game? And the way that he did it, I mean, he turned one play that could have been, I don't know, maybe 15 yards into a massive gain. And, Mike said Buffalo should have squibbed the kick after they scored to make more time run off. I agree with that. I do. You do whatever you can to run the clock down, for sure. This is the thing about Pat Mahomes. Anybody that thinks he's not an elite quarterback is out of their cotton picking mind. I mean, let's just be real about that. I mean, there's no way that you can think that Pat Mahomes isn't one of the best in the NFL and could set up to be one of the greatest ever if he stays consistent. I mean, look at how many times he's been to the AFC Championship game. He's been to a Super Bowl. Look what he's done in winning a Super Bowl and then going back there, and now potentially can go back there again. There's so much to be said about Pat Mahomes and what he's done. But then on the other side of it, look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen was incredible. Josh Allen, with everything that he was able to do and the passes that he was able to complete, and to be on fourth down and be effective. And Gabriel Davis, I have talked about Gabriel Davis since I interviewed him when he was at UCF. We were at Rhode Island for the American Athletic Summer Kickoff, and I stood right next to him, I believe it was to my right, and I interviewed Gabriel Davis. And Gabe Davis, Jordan Atkins was there as well. And, looking at what Gabriel Davis was able to do, I talked about him this year in fantasy, and I said, listen, he's worth drafting. You should get him. He's a good player, yada, yada, yada. And then it's like, well, he hasn't done anything. He's not consistent. He's not a fantasy machine. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. Look what he did in this game. He did something not even Jerry Rice, Tim Bradley, any of those receivers had ever done. Nobody. Randy Moss, nobody. 4 touchdowns in one playoff game. 4 receiving touchdowns in one playoff game. No other wide receiver in the history of mankind in the NFL has ever done that. How about that? In the history of the NFL, nobody's ever done that. He's in a league of his own. Gabe Davis picked the most opportune time to go off like crazy, and what a game for him. But I mean, you look at it and you say, what could Josh Allen have done more? What could Gabe Davis have done more? Devin Singletary got involved. We know he's been up and down in his career. We look at what they've done. Dawson Knox, drop a ball, catch a ball. But we're in a place right now where we're here this morning and we're talking about the game and the Bills and the Chiefs and the overtime rules. If Josh Allen got the ball back the way that this game was going, we were going to be playing all night. And did fans deserve to have that taken away from them? That's the, and I would say that most people would obviously say no, that he should have gotten an opportunity to have possession so that we could actually see what happened. Greg said, I'm all about positive change, but can we at least agree the OT rules are better now than they were before? From 1974 to 2009, moving down the field, kicking a field goal to win was pretty silly. Glad the NFL made the change. Yeah, I agree with that. Michael said the drive that gave Buffalo the lead could have been a little more time used. Time management at that point was lacking. So, I mean, listen, when you got to score, right, when you're out there and you have to score and you got to get after it, then I understand you want to take time off the clock. I get that. But when you're behind, the most important thing is that you score, obviously, right? So to Buffalo at that time, it's like, hey, score, think about the clock, right? Because you just need to score. We were running this thing down. The 2-minute warning was insane. From a minute 54 through overtime, look at the points that came off the board. It was insanity. 25 points scored between the two teams in the final 2 minutes. Insanity. Gabe Davis certainly stepped up big last night, DT. Didn't quite take the giant leap forward in the first 18 games, DT, but I get your point. All I said to you was that you need to look out for him. All I said to you is I think he's going to rise to be the number 2 guy behind Stephon Diggs. That's what I said. He was the number 1 guy last night. Prove me wrong that Gabe Davis isn't capable. Is he consistent? No. But are there other guys out there that are not that consistent that people want to talk to me about in fantasy football and tell me how great they are? Yeah. Are there people that drink the Kool-Aid? This guy's good in week 1 and week 4, so I'm going to grab him and drop one of my top players because he's going to be great forever? Yeah, people do that all the time. All I said is Gabe Davis is a really cheap way in fantasy to bring a guy onto your team, have 4 or 5 receivers, and let him go off when he goes off. He did what no other receiver has done in the history of the NFL. Ever. 4 receiving touchdowns in a playoff game. Gabe Davis, and he was wide open. And maybe that's because the Chiefs thought what other people thought this year, that he's not worth covering, that he's not that good, that he's not going to do anything, that Josh Allen's not going to look to him, that he's really not a factor. Well, guess what? The Chiefs just learned how much of a factor he is. And now the rest of the NFL did. So now we're going to see if Gabe Davis can go up against these guys and be productive now that they know who he is. Rick said all Bills fans know Davis is the next wide receiver too. We've seen his growth. That's good to hear, Rick. That's good to hear. That those of you in the Bills Mafia that are paying attention know what this guy is worth. Michael said Allen is a beast, but Mahomes is still that much better, unfortunately. I don't know if Pat Mahomes is better than Josh Allen. I don't know if I want to say Mahomes is better, because if Josh Allen was given that opportunity in overtime, remember, Pat Mahomes has Tyreek Hill. Remember that. Pat Mahomes has Tyreek Hill. Okay? So that's something that needs to be stated. Without Tyreek Hill, Pat Mahomes maybe doesn't get to that field. I don't think he gets to that field goal. I don't think he gets that 49-yard. Might have been a 63-yarder by Harrison Butker. Lord knows the man can boot. But without Tyreek Hill, Pat Mahomes doesn't have that. Right? So I think Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes, pound for pound, there's an upper echelon of quarterbacks in the NFL. There's like the quarterbacks that you want in a 2-minute warning. And I think those quarterbacks are Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen. And I would maybe say Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers has been underwhelming. He's been underwhelming. Look at what he did in this year's playoff. Look at what he did in last year's playoff. So I think, if I'm a head coach and I got a 2-minute warning right now in today's NFL, standing here today, January 24th, I should say sitting here, I would have in a 2-minute warning, Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen all day. So, Greg, right, consistency. All I'm saying is Gabe Davis is better than people think he is. That's all I said. He's better than people think he is. He's going to be a factor in fantasy, and you need to give him credit because he's going to rise to number 2. That's all I said. So, he's going to rise to number 2. He is. Cole Beasley's on his way out. He's going to be done with his career soon. And who else is there? Emmanuel Sanders? He's going to be on his way out. Gabe Davis has not been consistent, but we know that he can do it. So now it's about taking that and bringing that into consistency. That's what it's about. And Greg said those 4 quarterbacks are the current list. But to me, it's without doubt. I don't know if I would say Pat Mahomes is better than Josh Allen in a 2-minute warning, because I've seen Josh Allen in a bunch of fourth quarter situations and how effective he's been. So, I don't know if Mahomes was better than Josh Allen last night. I know that Mahomes had Tyreek Hill last night, and Mahomes got the ball in overtime. That's what I know. If Josh Allen had gotten the ball, remember, Josh Allen got that 2-point conversion, which secured that even with that field goal, they would still go to overtime and not lose the game. So seeing Josh Allen use his feet, get out of a bunch of sack attempts, elude people all over the field. Go back and watch that game last night. I don't know if you could say one of them is better than, I don't know if you could say Mahomes is better than Allen or Allen is better than Mahomes. I think they're right there. I think at a 2-minute warning, you'd be happy with either one of those guys to be your guy. Besides Tom Brady, those are the guys. And like I said, Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers has been kind of a letdown in recent history. So, with that being said, all week long we're going to talk about this. We may have some time to talk about it throughout the show. I know that coming up next, though, I want to get to Jerod Smith. He's got a ton of offers that are just all over the country. He has an opportunity to essentially see the country. He has offers from Syracuse, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Kentucky, BC, Virginia, Louisville, UMass, Arizona, Nebraska, Maryland, Texas A&M, Penn State, UConn, Iowa, Rutgers, and the offers just came in here recently from a couple of these. So very proud to see everything that he has done. And Jerod Smith, who came from Somerset in Kentucky and then transferred to the Loomis Chaffee School in Windsor, Connecticut. He joins me after this fast break as a D-tackle DN for 2024. He's got a couple of years, but he's already got a ton of offers. And he joins Wake Up Call inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin' right after this, here where sports truly meets life. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our
corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. Proud to be here with you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. You're also watching on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT and on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. On the recruiting trail in today's special conversation with Jerod Smith. Jerod Smith comes to us as a defensive lineman from the Loomis Chaffee School in Windsor, Connecticut, and the incoming class of 2024 for college football. And the offers that he has are as follows, and he can let me know if I miss anybody here. Plenty of offers coming through. Tennessee, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Boston College, Virginia, Nebraska, Maryland, Penn State, UConn, Iowa, Arizona, Louisville, Rutgers, and Syracuse. So with that being said, we bring in Jerod Smith to the show for the first time. Jerod, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. And did I miss anybody on this long list?
You did. You missed UMass.
UMass. Okay, so we got UMass, and this is, look at that, right into it and saying, hey man, you got one that you missed here. So UMass on this list as well. And so, do you keep them all straight, Jerod? I mean, I know that there's 15 here, and it's been a busy recruiting season for you. So, how do you handle having so many offers, and just kind of what your thoughts are of the recruiting process so far?
The recruiting process is going well for me right now. I mean, there's not much I can do because I can text coaches all I want, but they can't text me back. So that's like a big gap. But I try to get on the phone with all 15 of the schools at least once every other week to just keep in touch with all of them, and everything's going well right now.
And for you to have a couple of years here before you're going to college, when we're here in the beginning of 2022 and you have to make your decision for 2024, what would you attribute to the fact that your recruitment is already so busy? What would you say are maybe the reasons why you feel like you've gotten so many offers early on?
I think I stand out from most defensive linemen considering the fact I can pass rush inside and on the edge. And I just think I'm a dominant player, so I think that's what stands out.
And Jerod, coming from Connecticut and knowing that, that's a state that doesn't always get the respect that it deserves, and, the Northeast in general, do you have a chip on your shoulder coming from Connecticut?
I'm not originally from Connecticut, but I mean, I think the football here, we play in a prep school league, and I mean, most of these prep schools, they're like strong part of their team are most of the time the offensive linemen. So I don't know why people always try to throw shade on Connecticut football. I think it competes with just the best of the best football in the country. So. And
before you came to the prep league, where were you?
I was playing out of a high school in Kentucky called Somerset High School.
And bring me into Somerset and kind of the challenge of being down in Kentucky. What would you say about football in Kentucky comparative to Connecticut?
You cut out. I didn't hear you.
Oh, just what you could say about the challenge at Somerset in Kentucky comparative to Loomis Chaffee in Connecticut? Just what you would say about the level of talent that you went up against in Kentucky versus what you're going up against in Connecticut, if there's similarities or differences.
I think there's a lot of similarities, but I think the differences are the offensive linemen for sure. In Kentucky, sometimes you get a team with a decent offensive lineman, but here you're getting a team that at least has 2 or 3 good offensive linemen every single game. So I think the level of competition is definitely better here in Connecticut than it was in Kentucky.
So, a lot of people look to the South and kind of the Midwest area and whatnot, and they give more credit there than the North, and you're saying the opposite, that you feel more challenged up here in the North.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So for you, Jerod, when you have this challenge with multiple offensive linemen, what has it done to improve your game specifically?
I mean, just going against better competition, it's like iron sharpens iron. So, I mean, I'm going against really good offensive linemen week from week from week. When it comes to football camps this summer, I'm being used to going against really good offensive linemen. So I think it's just making me better every time I go against a really good offensive lineman.
And who are some of the best guys that you've gone up against? Maybe some of the guys you feel have challenged you the most?
I don't know them name by name, but some of the offensive linemen at the Choate Rosemary School were really good, and even the linemen on the team I'm playing on now are really good. We have 2 of the best tackles in the country and a really good offensive guard. So I'm going against 3 really good offensive linemen in practice every single day whenever we were practicing in the fall, which helped me a lot going into games.
Speaking here with Jerod Smith, defensive lineman who can play on the interior or the exterior of the D-line, coming to us from the Loomis Chaffee School in Windsor, Connecticut, and before that, Somerset in Kentucky, 2024 incoming freshman for college football. For you, Jerod, when you look at the move, what brought you to Loomis Chaffee in Connecticut? What was the reason why you left Kentucky and came up to Connecticut?
The school I go to is really high on the academic list. Okay. So not only was I getting a really good education, I was also playing for a really good football team. So I think the 2 of those is what really brought me to the school.
And your education, do you know what you want to study? Do you have an idea of maybe what you would like your major to be?
No, I haven't. I've thought about it, but I don't have a set in stone one yet. So I'm only a sophomore in high school, so I haven't really looked into it that much, but time will tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have plenty of time to have the opportunity to see kind of what you want to do. What excites you about the sport of football? What is it about the game that you just fell in love with?
I think playing with your best friends and just getting to show up and it's a violent sport. So I mean, I think everybody likes that part of it. I like whenever I get to make the big play, go crazy. I just like all the thrills about it.
And you brought up it being a violent sport. How do you flip the switch to be, obviously somebody in society who's not, running through walls and knocking stuff over? How do you turn it on when you're on the field? How can you kind of be calm, cool, and collected in the classroom and then turn into what you need to turn into when you're on the field?
I'd like to say whenever I enter the locker room, I enter a different mindset than I was at school. Then whenever I leave the locker room, it's I go back into normal mode. But whenever I am in serious mode, I'm in serious mode, and it's no playing games. It's time to work.
Did it take you a while to kind of create that switch, or do you feel like you've always had it?
I'd like to say whenever I entered high school is whenever it started to happen, because in middle school I was kind of the goofy kid because I was just better than everybody in 8th grade. But whenever I first entered high school, I had to really work to get playing time and all that stuff my freshman year. So I just started showing up to practice with a better mindset and working harder, and then I slowly started to see time, and then that's what happened.
So you had what sounds to be a wake-up call after 8th grade. Like you said, you were better than the competition, and then you kind of had to realize that, you had to work for it, and the competition got better on your team. So in order to get playing time, you had to push yourself. What did that do as a lesson to kind of maybe teach you how to become a better player?
Pretty much you got to work. You want to get better. It's not just going to be handed to you. So I had to work to get all these offers, and I continue to still work because I want to get more and more. So I just think it just taught me that I need to work even harder. Don't miss lifts. Don't miss optional workouts. Don't miss speed training. I mean, it's all that good stuff.
And Jerod, you just said don't miss optional workouts. Not every player goes the extra mile. Some just go to practice, go to games. They do the minimum of what they have to do. Sometimes people that have as many offers as you do might just rest on their laurels and say, hey, I got 15. I don't need to work that hard. What pushes you to continue to work so hard when maybe somebody else in your position wouldn't?
Pretty much some of these top colleges that like haven't offered me yet, I want to be able to tell them no and not them be able to tell me no. I want to be able to say I don't want to go there instead of them telling me they don't want me. So I think that really pushes me to get better every single day.
Speaking here with Jerod Smith from the Loomis Chaffee School in Windsor, Connecticut. Jerod, what do you think is the best part of your game, like your best attributes? And I know you play on the interior and the exterior. So as a defensive end, what are your best attributes? And as a D tackle, what would you say are your best?
As a DN, I think my best attributes are definitely the pass rush. And then whenever I play more like of an inside defensive lineman, I can stop the run a lot better. But I mean, all around, I can pass rush and stop the run out of either position. So I think that's what makes me different.
What are the areas you want to work on the most? What do you think about your game could get better?
Definitely my speed and my like hand movement. Like I don't really know how to explain it, but like use my hands better and get better moves because I think I can always improve on those two. And then overall, just improve on my pass rush a little bit better.
Yeah, coming here from Jerod Smith. Jerod, for you to go through the recruitment the way that you have, is it going the way you expected? Are you surprised at how many offers have come sooner here with a couple years to go? How do you kind of assess your recruitment compared to what you thought would happen?
Whenever I was still in Kentucky, I originally thought that I was just going to get like a few like in-state offers. But I think coming here has really opened me up to more colleges. So I was kind of expecting to get offers, but it's like, yet again, I'm still going to put in the work to get even more so I can be better every single day.
And with all these offers that you have received, you did get some in-state offers from Louisville and from Kentucky themselves, from where you originally were. What can you tell me about the offers from Louisville and the offers from the Kentucky Wildcats, just what those mean to you having come from Kentucky?
They mean a lot to me. I mean, growing up, I watched Kentucky football and basketball a lot. So getting those two offers was really meant a lot to me. And the fact that they both had me on unofficial visits and offered me then and not like just over the phone meant even more.
And you've had the opportunity to do a bunch of unofficial visits. You share with everybody kind of where you've been and what the recruiting trail has been like?
I've been to Tennessee, Kentucky, Louisville, and the University of Virginia, UVA. And they're all really nice facilities. I like them all.
Is there anybody that's stood out? I know you have time, obviously, but are there any schools that you just feel like have made a special impression on you?
I wouldn't say special, but there's been a few schools that, like in my recruiting process, involved more of my family into it instead of just me and my brother. But I mean, I like them all, and I haven't narrowed any of them out yet. So,
who has made your family more of a part of it?
Penn State, Rutgers, UVA, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisville, Tennessee. So I think that's all right now. But
and so as we look at your recruitment, your first D1 offer came from Ole Miss inside of the SEC. The Lane train with Lane Kiffin, successful. Obviously a team that's got a lot of buzz around it with Lane Kiffin there and recruitment and whatnot. What can you say about your first offer coming from Ole Miss and coming from the SEC?
It was unexpected. because I didn't think my first offer was going to be an SEC offer, but I mean, it meant a lot to me. And Ole Miss is a very good program for football, so.
Will the first offer always hold special weight to you? Do you think Ole Miss, because they kind of opened the door to all of this, do you feel like they'll be a part of, maybe as you narrow it down, do you think that they have a better opportunity of staying in it because they were the first ones to offer you?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's because of the first ones. I mean, I have a really good relationship with Coach Partridge, which is now the defensive coordinator there, and Coach Sandwich, which is a recruiting coordinator there. So, I mean, I think that's what's going to keep them in the top of my list, but I don't think it's because they offered me first.
Okay, fair enough. And then you went from that with Boston College and then to Arizona, Virginia, and then at Syracuse here. What can you tell me about, as you go through these first few offers after Ole Miss to get three from the ACC with BC, Virginia, and Syracuse, and then having one from the Pac-12 in Arizona? What can you tell me about those offers that came through? Because they all came through pretty close to one another. So, and all of them in April of this past year, 2021. So when you did get BC, Arizona, Virginia, and Syracuse, just what you could say about the ACC jumping in heavy with those three schools, and then Arizona out of the Pac-12 as well.
I mean, I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, the ACC is really good for football as well. I think they're second right behind the SEC. So I guess they just noticed that I'm an ACC, SEC Power 5 player and decided to hop on my offers.
And, as far as Syracuse goes, you thanked Mike Schmidt for, this obviously connection. He's an offensive line coach. What can you tell me about Mike Schmidt? Have you gotten to know him at all at Syracuse when you have had to have some communication with the Orange? What do you know about Mike Schmidt?
We've talked a few times on the phone, and I've also bumped into him at school. So, I mean, our connection's there. Yet again, he is an offensive line coach. So, I mean, the connection's there, but it's not, it'd be like there with like a defensive line coach.
What can you say about his personality?
I mean, he seems like he's a good dude, so.
And you said you bumped into him at school, so who has come to see you at the school of the schools that offered? Who's made the trip out to see you in Windsor?
I mean, almost all of them have came by the school so far, and we've had plenty of more coaches come by the school. Probably upwards of 40 coaches have came by the school just in December and this month alone.
And for you, how much does that mean to you, especially with everything with the pandemic, that a coach would take time to come out and physically see you and get to be around you? What does that mean to you in your recruitment of getting an offer in person as opposed to a phone call or a text message?
It means a lot, because if they can't take the time to come see me, that kind of makes me think they don't want me, because they can just, like, if they're seeing other people but not coming to see you, it's like, oh, they don't want you. But all these schools have taken the time to come see me, so it makes it seem like they all want me.
And Jerod, in a lot of these pictures with the schools, you're wearing the number 44. Is that a must for you to have in college?
No, I mean, this year I wore number 50. It's just my 8th grade, I had to pick a number, and it happened to be 44. So I stuck with it in 9th in my first 10th grade year. Then when I came to Loomis, a post-grad actually wore the number 44, so he got first picks at it. So I just took number 50.
And so for you, when you have taken these pictures, we see you in 44. Does 44 have a significance to you?
No, has no significance. I just picked it and liked it.
Fair enough. And you got at Loomis Chaffee now in the state of Connecticut, you got an offer from UConn. They're an independent school now. Used to be in the Big East and then went on to the American. Now they're independent. Jim Mora, who's got a lot of experience in the NFL, is the new head coach there. What can you say about the offer from UConn now that, Connecticut's become another home to you? What do you think about the Huskies offer?
I like it. I mean, they've had multiple coaches come in to see us since they're right around the corner. And they actually offered me, they came in, they looked at me, they liked me, they went back, and then their head coach, I gave them the go away to come offer me. And since then, I believe their defensive backs coaches came by, and even the defensive coordinator. So that means a lot that they're taking the time to come out here to see us. And I'm sure they could go see other people.
You lived in Kentucky. You're in Connecticut now. Your offers are in so many different states around the country. What does that mean to you? That not only do you have a substantial list of offers early on here with 15, but that it truly allows you to kind of take a look at what the country is when it comes to college football. I mean, if you are to go visit a bunch of these places, you're going to be able to see multiple states in the United States of America and experience kind of what football is like. What does that mean to you that you have such a diverse group of offers?
It means a lot. I mean, I'm going to have the opportunity to pretty much live at anywhere really on the East Coast with these offers. So I think I'm going to have a good, hard choice picking where to go.
Do you have a player or two that you model your game after?
I think Aaron Donald, because he's so violent.
And what do you think? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was just going to say, you brought up the violence a couple times. How do you channel the violence? Do you think, I know we talked about flipping a switch, but do you think about something on the field that upsets you? Is there something you lock in on? Because there's being a strong defensive lineman, there's being an effective defensive lineman, but when you talk about being a violent defensive lineman, that's like another level. What is that like? How would you describe that level? How do you get to that level? Do you think about something in your life? Do you take like maybe what's frustrated you during the week and put it all together? How do you do it?
No, I really, to be honest, I think about the 7 defense linemen that are ranked higher than me right now in the class. And I really would like to go out and show why I deserve to be up there on the top of the list and not on the bottom right now. So I think that's really what channels me to go out and show what I am every single game.
And Jerod, before I let you go here, family, just what you could say about your circle, your group of family and friends, who, when you're making this decision and you go throughout this process for the next couple of years, who do you have in that room with you? Who are the people that you really trust to help you kind of figure things out?
My head coach, and for sure my mom and dad are who are going to help me choose what school is best for me and my family.
And can we shout out your head coach and tell me what he's done to make you a better player?
Shout out my old head coach, Coach Jeff Moore. He made me a better player by bringing me to Loomis and giving me the opportunity to come out here every Sunday and work. And shout out to my new head coach, Coach Adam Banks, who's also a really good guy. And I'm just now getting to know him better because he just took the job January 10th. So we're getting better to know each other. And I can't wait to have him as my head coach this fall.
What is it on film that you think has made these offers come so early? Like, I know we talked about the violent play and how that's a different level, but what do you think, or what have coaches told you about what they see that has really made you worth offering so early in their opinion? Like, what is it on film that really you think is catching their eye right now?
I think the part that catches their eyes is them watching me pass rush and stop the run from the inside and the edge and all the potential I have.
And for you, I mean, where do you think your ceiling is? Have you come close to hitting it yet?
No, not even.
So we're looking at a D lineman who looks up to Aaron Donald, has a violent style of play, has 15 offers, a couple years to go, and you're telling us that there's still a lot left to be had.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I love that. Well, Jerod Smith coming to us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cubal Studios. Jerod, before I let you go, we do a thing called Rapid Fire. I want to throw a few questions at you just to get to know you a little bit better for the people that are listening. So I'm going to ask you 3. And in the spirit of fairness, you can ask any 3 you want back to me. So we're going to have a little bit of fun here off of the sport of football and just talk about life. So my first question for you is, when you're getting hyped for a game or just getting hyped for a run or anything you're doing, if you could only listen to one song for this entire year, what song would it be and why?
One song?
Yep.
I'd have to go with Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill.
Okay. All right. A song that's been chosen before. What's your first question for me?
If you could choose one college to go to and like be like a broadcaster or like work for them in any type of way, which college would you choose?
I chose Marywood University back in 2003, and that started my career. It started my first ever show. I own my own business now. I've been broadcasting for 18 years. I've worked with ESPN, Fox affiliations, Yahoo affiliates, so I wouldn't change a thing. I'd go back to Marywood University in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
All right.
My second question for you is, what, outside of the football field, what do you think is your greatest accomplishment up to this point?
My greatest accomplishment?
Yep.
I'd have to say the things I've done here at Loomis. Moving to a boarding school isn't easy for everyone. So, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. And just at Loomis in general is probably my biggest accomplishment is right now.
Well, yeah, I know I talked about education and everything, so congratulations on making the move.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What is your second one for me?
What is your favorite NFL team, and who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
My favorite NFL team are the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've been a Jaguars fan since they came out in '95, and the team I think is going to win the Super Bowl. Oh boy, I think it's going to be the Bills or the Packers, or the Rams. I would say right now, I would pick the Bills, and if it had to be an NFC team, I would say the Packers, but I think the Bills got a good shot.
All right, that's a good choice.
This is not my question for you, but who would you say?
I think I'd have to agree with you on either the Packers, but you can't ever doubt Tom Brady, so I think we throw Tom Brady in that mix.
Okay, fair enough. My last one for you, Jerod, is if you could go on a 24-hour car ride with any celebrity, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Any living celebrity?
Any living or deceased celebrity.
That's a hard one. Celebrity. Honestly, I think I'd have to go with like a person like Elon Musk because I really want to know how he got to this level of where he is now. So I think that's definitely the person.
Okay, I like it. What's your last question for me?
I think I'm going to go with another sports question. Which sports did you play growing up?
I played baseball and did that through Little League. I got hit by a wild pitch, and after that, I wasn't really into it. So after I got hit with the wild pitch, I was like, okay. But basketball, I played my whole life, pretty much. Organized at 7, was recruited by Marywood, and to this day, if I want to shut my brain off, get out my aggression, think like if I want to go somewhere and just like, I don't know, I find so much peace on the court, and I will challenge myself to shoot as far as I possibly can away. I love shooting deep threes. I love fadeaways. I love going to the basket. No matter what shots I make, I always challenge myself to make even more difficult shots. So, I don't know, I've always loved the sport of basketball. That's what I would say. So, with that being said, Jerod Smith, Loomis Chaffee School in Windsor, Connecticut, 2024, D lineman, interior or exterior, a bunch of offers, plenty to come. Jerod, thank you so much for being a part of Wake Up Call, and I would love to have you back on the show as we continue to tell your story.
Thank you for having me, sir.
All right, man, I'll talk with you soon. You have a good day, okay?
You too.
Take care.
You too.
Back coming once again from Jerod Smith here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, and that conversation being shared to you on his recruiting trail that happened obviously right prior to the games that happened, as you know, Green Bay and Buffalo getting bumped out. And I made a mistake a little bit earlier. I said that Jerod had received an offer from Texas A&M. I want to correct that and let you know that was actually one of his buddies that received that offer. Jerod has received offers from plenty of schools, as you know, around the country, and those schools include the likes of Ole Miss, Tennessee, Kentucky, Syracuse, Louisville, as well as Maryland, Nebraska, and Penn State and whatnots, UConn, and so on and so forth. So a lot of great stuff coming through for Jerod, and I definitely appreciate all he's done to get to where he is today, all his hard work, dedication, and determination to be the person that he is today and the player that he is today. Real big ups to him for all the work that he's put through. So now, and Arizona also offered, Virginia, and Boston College. So a lot of great places that have offered Jerod Smith, as you see the updated one right there inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. So a lot of great stuff here. And let's see what we got down here. We had some thoughts come through about Brady Denneberg, so we'll talk about that in just a second. And Greg said, hopefully Brady put some serious thought in coming north. I think the Orange can benefit from his set of skills. Might be tough leaving the Sunshine State and Gator country. Gator, hater, Gator, hater. So, I don't know why I just did that, but you know, the whole later Gator hater thing. But, you know, very happy to be here with you. Happy to be sharing this with you this morning that Brady Denneberg, who was just on the show a couple weeks back here, we did a special with him and his mentor, Nate Trout, who just so happens to be one of the greatest Syracuse football kickers of all time, and held the record for most points scored by any player on offense, defense, and special teams combined at Syracuse. He was the point total carrier for career points scored at Syracuse for the longest time, and that was just broken here recently, and so by Andre Schmidt. So a big shout out to Andre and Brady Denneberg, somebody that Nate was hoping would get an offer from Syracuse, obviously with Syracuse being his alma mater, and him knowing how good Nate is and what Nate can bring to the table, or pardon me, how good Brady Denneberg is and what Brady could bring to the table. So very excited to see this, and so much looking forward to what could be, what can be, what hopefully will be potentially here for Syracuse. So very excited for Brady Denneberg and Nate Trout. And you can be sure that now that Brady has officially received the offer, he will be joining Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to speak on that, as we get to have an interview with him coming up here very, very soon, which I cannot wait for. And I'm definitely going to rebroadcast, re-promote the one that we had before. And I did send it out last night, but I'm going to edit it up even more so you can get a little direct link to that. So there'll be a couple ways to go back and watch it, which is awesome. But you can go back and watch it this morning, and I suggest you do so to see Brady and his story. And we did a picture-in-picture with myself and Nate Trout and Brady Denneberg, speaking about the fact that Brady's actually just coming off too, which is really cool. Brady coming off of going to the Florida State Championship game against Miami Central and helped aid his team there. On one drive, he had ran the ball a couple times, threw a pass, and then kicked the field goal that forced overtime. So he's a quarterback. He's obviously a dual threat quarterback who can run, and he's a kicker. So technically he's an athlete, and Syracuse, I would imagine, are looking at him as a kicker, with the fact that their new special teams coordinator has been the one to go down and visit him. But let me just make it very, very clear that he is extremely capable of doing a bunch of different things, and being a kicker who can pass the ball and run the ball is also another asset to any team, including Syracuse, for trick plays. You may only run 1, 2, 3, 4 of them his entire career in college, yet when you run them, wouldn't you like to have a kicker who has experience and can actually throw the ball and run the ball? I would. So it's kind of cool to see that. I'm looking forward to what's to come with Brady Denneberg's recruitment, as he's a 2022 guy, and so he has the opportunity of making his choice very, very soon here within the next not even 2 weeks. So, because believe it or not, folks, next week is February, and February 2nd of February 2, 2022 is going to be the time that we get to see the National Signing Day Part 2. So I'm excited to see that and what's to come for that. So definitely looking forward to it and very hopeful of it. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So Brady getting the offer, you can go back and watch the video. I shared it on the timeline here, so make sure you go back and check it out for sure and just see what Brady had to say about a potential Syracuse offer and about Syracuse's new special teams coordinator going to visit him a few weeks back. So this is not something that just happened randomly. He was visited by the special teams coordinator that was just hired by Dino Babers, went down there and saw him at the school, and now the offer is coming here a couple weeks before National Signing Day, and we're talking about it with about, a week and a half or so to go here. So I'm very excited to see what's to come, and definitely looking forward to talking with Brady about the opportunity that is now in front of him. And very cool, to see the fact that his mentor is Nate Trout. Nate is from Florida, went to Syracuse. Brady's from Florida, could be going to Syracuse via Merritt Island, where he plays high school football right now down in the great state of Florida, our second home of Wake Up Call. So really cool the connection he has to Nate, and that Nate, obviously had a lot of success at Syracuse, and now Brady has the opportunity to do the same. So great stuff coming up. Speaking of people who had success at Syracuse and then went on to continue success, somebody who came from a place other than Syracuse and came in and found success here. We're going to hear in just a couple minutes after this fast break from none other than Randy Edsall, who's going to be joining the show here live. Randy came to Syracuse and played quarterback for the Syracuse Orange under Frank Maloney and aided them to the 1979 Independence Bowl. And from there, he went on to become an assistant coach, eventually a head coach. He's worked in the NFL, and he's also worked in the college ranks as well. He's going to be speaking on his coaching history, Northeast recruiting, the state of college football, and what's next for him as longtime football coach and Northeast native. Randy Edsall joins Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora right after this fast break, where sports truly meets life.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. Proud to be here with you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora hanging out with you here. Cafe Kubal, once again, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, as well as on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners there in their drive-thru. So make sure that you get out there today and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. We appreciate it so very much. So with that being said, we're here in hour number 2, starting off the hard-to-believe final full week of January of 2022, already almost through the first month of January of 2022 here. And very happy to have my next guest, Randy Edsall, joining the broadcast. He was a quarterback who helped aid Syracuse to the 1979 Independence Bowl, and that was under Frank Maloney. Would go on with Coach Mack to coach the DBs, the running backs, as well as the tight ends at Syracuse, and was an integral part of bringing in some of the best Syracuse players in our history, including one of my best friends, Rob Drummond. And Randy went on from there, of course, to be with the Jacksonville Jaguars inside of the NFL, spent time as UConn's head coach twice, as well as at Maryland, and has a plethora of experience as well as knowledge and wisdom of the game. So, with that being said, I am so excited and have been very impatient to have him back on the show, so let's bring him back. Randy, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Appreciate being back on.
And Randy, you know, for you, it has been an interesting road when it comes to, you know, coaching and you know, kind of where you've been and what you've done, the uniqueness of going to UConn, aiding them from FCS to FBS, going back to UConn, being at Maryland, obviously spending some time at Syracuse under Coach Mack. When you look back on all this, now that you've had some time to kind of, you know, let it marinate and whatnot, what can you say about your coaching career? What are maybe some words that come to mind when you think about reflecting back on coaching?
Well, you know, I think that, you know, I've just been, you know, very blessed to, you know, had the opportunities, you know, that I had in coaching. And I think that the biggest thing is for me is that the relationships, you know, that I built over those 43 years with, you know, fellow coaches, with players, you know, with people in the communities, you know, where I was coaching. I think that's the thing that really, you know, sticks out to me. I mean, yeah, there were some good wins, you know, in there and everything, but the thing for me was it was always about coaching, was trying to help other people accomplish something that, you know, coaches, you know, helped me accomplish to get me started and get me to where I was when, you know, basically I left Syracuse. So that's what I look back on and take with it. And, you know, an understanding that, you know, I feel good about the fact that, you know, I was able to help a lot of young men accomplish, you know, goals and put them on a path to, you know, success. But then, you know, also felt like did it the right way in terms of caring about them as people, as students, and athletes, not just as athletes.
That coming here from Randy Edsall, longtime coach with the collegiate and professional ranks here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios. Randy, bring me into this last season and kind of this last go-around with UConn. You came back there to be the coach. They were in the American Athletic Conference, which only had 3 schools left from what had been the Big East. It was Cincinnati, South Florida, and UConn, and Temple had just come back. To be a part of that era of the emergence of the American Athletic, and then to find out that UConn was going to be leaving the American and going back basketball-wise predominantly to the Big East, and that it was going to leave UConn independent. How did you navigate through all of that, joining a new conference in the American and then becoming an independent school? How did you kind of see that? Because in all your time in coaching, it still provided for you another challenge, a unique challenge of starting a conference and then leaving that conference to go independent, just what that was like for you.
Well, I would say that that might have been the biggest challenge that I had faced, in my coaching career. And, the university made a decision that they felt was in the best interest of basketball, most especially, and basically other sports, and really sold out football for for the athletic department. And what I mean is that you go from, when you're in a conference, you're playing for, a conference title, you have bowl tie-ins, you have things that you can really sell from a recruiting standpoint. But when you go to an independent status, now you basically are trying to fight without any ammunition. And what I mean is, when you try to go and recruit and a kid says to you about, well, why should I come there? You don't play in a conference. I can't compete for a conference championship. I can't, you're not guaranteed a bowl. You don't have a bowl tie-in. You're not guaranteed to go to any bowls. And, it makes it a little bit more difficult, from that standpoint, to go out and recruit the quality student athletes that you need to play the schedule then that was, put together to play at the FBS level. So it was a challenge, and it was one that you just said, okay, here's the cards that you're dealt, and this is the way I always felt like, hey, here's the cards that you were dealt, and now you just go and try to put together a plan that allows you to, be the most successful that you can, with the opportunity that's in front of you.
Randy, how do you sell it? Okay, we don't have a conference, we don't have that backing, we don't have a bowl tie-in. Every single year we're making a schedule unique and whatnot, and you don't really have a traditional rivalry that's been set in place. When you got those questions, how did you battle it back?
Well, it was hard, and you just tried to sell. You tried to sell the fact that, I tried to sell the fact that, what we had accomplished and what I had accomplished through my career in terms of developing kids, giving kids the opportunity to get a great education, to develop as an athlete, and have the opportunity to go and play, at the next level, and knowing that you were going to try to, help them, advance their career. I think that's the biggest thing. And what people really don't understand is, if you take a look, there's not very many independents, schools out there. Notre Dame is independent, and they can do it because they're Notre Dame. Same with BYU. I mean, BYU is a national type team, but other than that, you had New Mexico State, you had UMass, you had Liberty, but now you take a look at it, basically everybody else has joined a conference now. Liberty's going to be joining the conference. New Mexico State's joining a conference. Notre Dame will stay independent. BYU joined the conference. So really you only have UMass and UConn, Notre Dame, and Notre Dame has a semi-tie-in there with the ACC from a scheduling standpoint. So being an independent in football is very, very difficult, and hard to, I think hard to accomplish things that that you really want to be able to accomplish, and most especially, being in the Northeast, because it's difficult to recruit against Syracuse, BC, Rutgers, Penn State, Pittsburgh, all those schools that you were competing against, when you were in the Big East. Well, now in the area where you're located, all those other people, they have so much more things to be able to sell than what you do. So, you're going to have a tough time getting the kind of kids you need to get in order to be successful. But it's like anything else. You just do the best you can, and you try to get the kids that, want to be there and want to be developed. And, and now I think the thing is that with the portal, you could get kids there because, people are transferring and everything else, but you still have the same thing when a kid might want to come, still there's no bowl tie in. That makes it tough. But, and maybe now you can get some more high school kids because people are trending towards taking kids out of the portal and not recruiting as many high school kids because a kid coming out of the portal has more experience than a kid coming from high school, and people don't want to take the time to develop kids anymore because of the essence of the profession. If you don't win in 2 to 3 years, you're fired.
Yeah. And you're speaking here with Randy Edsall. I mean, you're describing the changes in college football, changes I don't like. I mean, that if you don't want to develop a player, you just go, buy one that's kind of pre-made, and it's, I don't know, I think it's a travesty to the game, and we'll get into some of those pieces and those changes, but you brought up some different points here, and I want to get to a few of them. You were in a unique situation where, like, early on in the season, this past season for UConn, you had mutually agreed with UConn and the powers that be that this was going to be your last season. Did a lot of that have to do with the fact that, it just wasn't kind of maybe what you signed up for, not being a part of the conference, being independent, seeing so many schools join conferences now? Were you in a place where it just didn't feel like, you talk about buying something that's maybe not what you expected it to be? Did you buy this product and then kind of say, hey, you know what, this isn't really what I thought this product was going to be for? I didn't really think that this is the dream that they sold me is the one that I actually bought here. How much did UConn going independent and them selling the school essentially for basketball, how much did that have to do with you saying, you know what, I don't think this is the right fit for me anymore?
Well, there was, I had thoughts in my mind that certain things were going to happen, but really when they made the decision to go independent in football, and then you take a look at schedules that were put in place and everything else. A lot of that, I just felt that it was time. It was going to be time for me to move on because, again, I just felt that it was probably better for somebody else to go in and come in and take over and lead the university and the football program really into the independent status, moving forward with all the things that were going on. And so that's why I decided to, and I had thought about making that announcement before the season. But as we got into it and as I saw things, I just said, you know what, I'm going to try to be fair to the university and make that decision when I did, to allow them enough time to go and hire somebody and put their process in place and do what they needed to do, in all fairness to them. But yeah, that was a big part of it in terms of when you kind of get blindsided and really don't know, didn't know that was going to happen, and then it happened, and you're finding out about it basically the day that it's announced. Those are the things that say, hey, they're going in a different direction, so let's let them. I felt like let them go and hire whoever they want to hire to lead them into that next thing. Because when I went there the first time, there was a plan and there was a vision as to what we wanted to do, going from FCS to the Big East, and then all of a sudden you go back this time and you're there in the American, but then when you get thrown into the independent status and there's no plan and there's no vision as to why you're doing it other than to, take care of, basketball and the rest of the athletic department, and football's left holding the bag. I just felt that it was time for me to retire, and and I'm enjoying that, and give them the most time to go and hire somebody and put the plan in place that they want to have, moving forward as a football independent.
In your mind, Randy, can UConn survive as an independent school, knowing that New Mexico State, like you said, is joining a conference, Liberty's joining a conference. There's FCS teams that have jumped up over the years, like a Charlotte, that are now not only joined Conference USA, but now they get to join the American, and you know the benefits of that because you were a part of it. So seeing the Navy years ago joining the American Athletic Conference as well after over 100 years of independence, if it's going to be Notre Dame, who's got a special set of opportunities and whatnot, and obviously a long time ago signed a TV deal, and they're really in a perfect position because they get to kind of be a Big East or kind of be an ACC team, but they also get to keep their money for football 100%. So if it's going to be UMass, UConn, and Notre Dame, really, because BYU is joining a conference as well with the Big 12, do you think that UConn and UMass can survive this?
I think it's going to be very difficult, and because when you take a look at it, the Big East, in terms of the revenue sharing there, it's not as much as the Power 5 conferences get. It's for the basketball schools, but most of those schools don't. They play FCS, football. So you don't get that kind of money, and then if you're going to have to play, guarantee games all the time, that's not something that's advantageous. So, yeah, I do think, and then plus being in the area of the country that you're in, where the recruiting base isn't as strong as what it once was, when the years, like I said, when I was at Syracuse, and knowing that, it's going to be difficult to recruit the really good players from that area because they're going to go to the Power 5 schools because there's more opportunities and they have more advantages there for them to go there. So yes, I do think it's going to be very, very difficult to have success as an independent in the Northeast.
Yeah, and it's tough. And Randy, you've been such a supporter of the Northeast. You come from the Northeast. You hail from the state of Pennsylvania. You were a tri-sport athlete with baseball, basketball, and football. And then you went on to play quarterback at Syracuse. You coached it at Syracuse under Coach Mack. You played under Frank Maloney. You coached at UConn. You coached it at Maryland. You know what it takes to be in the Northeast. You know what it's like to be a Northeast coach and to appreciate and respect the Northeast. What can you tell me about what's happening to football? I mean, I remember Doug Marrone as the Big East football was dissolving. Doug was talking about the death of Northeast, football, that we're not seeing the rivalries anymore in the conference and whatnot, really not being the conference of that. The Big East was becoming this, conference that was really taking anybody from anywhere. And so for you, what can you say to that? Being a Northeast guy who's always recruited the Northeast, who's always respected the Northeast, and really anywhere you've gone, you always kept an eye on Syracuse and Central and Upstate New York, which I appreciate and respect. What can you say about what's become of Northeast football?
Well, I think, and this goes back in, a number of years, but the powers to be within the Big East didn't understand the dynamics of the economic impact of football back, when they had the opportunity and schools wanted to form an all-sports conference and didn't do it. And so that was kind of the demise of Northeast football, in my opinion, is when they never wanted to include schools to where it was a all-sports conference because they didn't want to break up the Big East at the time. And if you would have done that, you'd have a really good Power 5, conference, because Miami would still be in there, Virginia, all those people. You could have, and Penn State probably would have joined, and they were independent. And I just think that people and the Big East in basketball was very, very good, and you still could have had that, but you could have had, an all-sports conference, and you still could have played basketball and had all of that because all those teams were still playing. Miami and those people were playing in the Big East, and I think that's when it all started to go downhill. And then especially once the Big East did dissolve, and the schools left and expanded, and you know what, the ACC and the Big Ten were smart. They saw basically a conference that wasn't as strong, and there was weak, and it could be splintered by taking people away. And, the powers to be at those schools, because of the money and everything else, made the right decision to leave and get into the ACC or go to the Big Ten. And, now granted, they might not be having some of the success, but at least they're in the arena and having an opportunity to compete there at the highest level, as opposed to, a situation like us like UConn was.
Speaking here with Randy Edsall, longtime coach here and has ties back to the Syracuse area as a player and as an assistant coach under Coach Mack on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Randy, you coaching at Maryland, UConn, and Syracuse, you've coached in 3 places that have all gone through some type of realignment, and be it when you were there or when you weren't there. So just what you could say about that when you reflect on Syracuse and being they were an independent, they became a Big East, and then went on from there as one of the Big East founding members to become a part of the ACC after you had left. And then Maryland obviously left the ACC for the Big Ten, and then UConn was the Big East, was FCS, then FBS in the Big East, like you said, helping get them there, and then going to the American and then becoming independent. When we look at just your career, every one of those 3 colleges that you've been at and coached at has been in some form of realignment. What does that say about what's happening?
I think what it says is that there's money drives football, and the opportunities. And I don't know, I might be a coach that went through more transitions than any coach in terms of like UConn. I went from FCS to an independent to the Big East, and then when I came back, it was the American, and then it was an independent. So there was 5 just being at UConn those years. There was 5 transitions, that you made. Syracuse, it was independent to, the Big East. The BC was just the Big East. Maryland was ACC to the Big Ten, and basically it comes down to money, and it's where the conferences feel like, hey, can I add somebody that's going to create value from a television homes perspective, that's going to drive up the money that's going to be shared by those conference people. And really that's basically, is what's driven it. It's the economic impact of what people can bring, in terms of the TV markets to grow the revenue, for those conferences to split. That's why I really believe that expansion is done now. I don't think it'll move. The only thing that could happen is you take 2 conferences, say the SEC and the Big Ten, who go and get in, have their own little, like an NFL type thing where you'd have, 30 teams or whatever, that type of thing, and do something like that. I mean, I could see that, but the problem is, everybody, the thing about college football, which, concerns me, I'm out of it, so I don't really have to worry about it anymore, but where is it going? Because now that the genie's out of the bottle, I don't think you can get the genie back in the bottle with all these things, that are going on. And there's not one person that's in charge of FBS football. Every conference is its own entity, can do whatever they want. The NCAA doesn't control FBS football, okay? Because you have the college football playoff, and that's their own thing. Then you have the bowls, and then you have the individual conferences who do that. So, I mean, it's almost like the wild, wild west, and whatever anybody wants to do, they can go ahead and do it. So I don't know if it's ever, and it's all about the money. How much money can we get? How much money can we distribute to our fellow members? So I think it's real. I think it's going down a road that's a point of no return, and I really don't know if that's what's in the best interest of the game.
Yeah, Randy, and you brought me to kind of, exactly where we were going to go, the state of college football. I want to stick with Syracuse for a second since you coached there and you played there. Monetarily, I can understand somebody saying, hey, it was the right decision for Syracuse to join the ACC and exposure and whatnot. But for Syracuse football, hindsight 2020, it's been about a decade since they joined the ACC in all sports, including football. As an alum, good or bad decision, just speaking on football, not speaking on money, just about the football program, good or bad decision for Syracuse to join the ACC?
Well, I think it was a good decision because if they didn't go to the ACC, where would they be? That would be my question is if they didn't push, could they be like UConn, in the Big East in basketball and an independent in football, because, at least, Syracuse saw what was coming and they were still going to, at least because of what I think would have transpired, the ACC was the best opportunity for them not to get left out, in the cold from a football standpoint. Because if you didn't join that, like I said, and that's what happened to UConn. UConn was never aggressive enough because they didn't want to, in my opinion, they didn't want to upset the apple cart of leaving the Big East. And that's where you have to have vision to see, and because of what the landscape was around it. So from football wise, yeah, I think it is the best, because to me the alternative would be you end up in the AAC, and then what do you do after that? And because I think that's been proven in terms of what happened to, like I said, to Connecticut in terms of that situation. Because really, when you take a look back in 2010, UConn was a better sports program than Syracuse. And in terms of women's basketball, men's basketball, and football, there was a lot more success in those three sports at UConn than there was at Syracuse. And really, the team that should have gone, and even with BC and everything else, the team that should have gone was UConn. But the administration and the people there, didn't take advantage and kind of got, was asleep at the wheel. And, other people were more aggressive, and then some people tried to block out, Syracuse. So, try to block out UConn. But for me, I think from an alum standpoint, the ACC was a good decision, because if they didn't do it, I think they'd be a lot worse off today in terms of their, where they would be from a football standpoint, and then what that would have done for all their sports programs, even though they really haven't had the kind of success they would have liked to in terms of probably in, basketball and football in the ACC as of this point.
Randy, can we speak to the irony that you just brought up, that if UConn had not been asleep at the wheel, they would have gone to the ACC, been there for ACC basketball, football, and Olympic sports, would never have had to leave. And in this weird, like you said, Syracuse leaving for the ACC, by UConn saying, no, we got to stay in the Big East, they lose football because the Big East takes the Catholic Seven and takes the name, and then there's no football left and the American has to emerge. So by UConn saying we can't leave the Big East ends up dissolving. Then there's no Big East to leave because it's not there anymore. They go to the American, and now they're back in the Big East, but now they don't have football. How ironic is that if they had made the move to the ACC, they wouldn't have done this, let's stay in the Big East, and now they're back in the Big East, but now they lost football. If they had made the move to the ACC, they would have everything intact right now, as Syracuse does.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have had to spend, I don't know, the millions of dollars to leave the AAC, and then spend the millions of dollars to enter the Big East. So you take a look at that from a financial standpoint, and the money that cost, and if you go, and then the revenue sharing isn't anywhere near what the schools get from the ACC, and and like Syracuse, the money that they're getting from the ACC is really good. And if they weren't doing that, how do you survive? How do you not have deficits every year based on what you're trying to get done. So, like I said, when that all went down, some people just, they made decisions that they felt were best at that time. But, when you look at it, you gotta have a vision, and you gotta see where this is all going to go. And then I think what happened is, for some schools, and Gene DiFilippo was kind of orchestrated, at least he was smart enough to see it for BC. And then he kind of, according to all the things you see and heard and information, kind of tried to block UConn a little bit, but and have Syracuse come in. But the thing is that, people don't, and to this day now it really shows football is what drives the bus. It isn't basketball. And that's where I think people's minds got clouded in the Northeast because of the Big East and, what they had in basketball. And then plus, those great coaches they had in basketball, tournament being in Madison Square Garden. But, that's not what drives the bus. Football is what drives the bus, and football is where the money is, and I think that's where people really lost sight of, especially in the Northeast, and, lost sight of what the true breadwinner was, and it was football, not basketball.
Yeah, coming from Randy Edsall, longtime coach, hanging out with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios. Randy, you were an alum of Syracuse, as we stated. You played quarterback under Frank Maloney. You went to the Independence Bowl, won that in 1979. You spent a lot of time recruiting for Syracuse as an assistant, working with the running backs, the tight ends, and the DBs. And so, you could call this what you want to call it. You and I built a friendship over time, I'd like to say. And so I want to know this personally, if for nothing else. Did Syracuse miss the boat on you? Was there ever a shot in these last couple decades that you could have been the Syracuse head coach?
That's something that if given the opportunity, that would have been something that I would have taken and would have done, because of the the loyalty and the opportunities that I felt you could have to be able to win there, and knowing how to recruit. But that opportunity never presented itself. So, I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about it.
What would you have done there that you feel like could? I mean, when we look at the state of the program now, maybe that's a better way to say it. What needs to happen, and are you surprised that Syracuse does not recruit upstate New York, central New York, that Servassier Dennis from CBA ended up at Pittsburgh without a Syracuse offer? Stevie Scott, as far as my conversation with him from CBA, didn't really feel the love, ended up at Indiana. Guys like John Phillips at BC, Tyler Days from CNS, ended up at Boston College as well. We've seen players, Derek Gore, for goodness sakes, went to Alabama, and now he's playing with the Kansas City Chiefs for the right to go back to the Super Bowl out of Nottingham. What can you say about maybe what your thoughts are on the fact that, so many Syracuse coaches really hung their hat on making sure they took care of home base, and what is the importance of doing that? I mean, whether you were at Maryland, UConn, Syracuse, wherever, that you took care of maybe that 5-hour radius, as a lot of people talk about. The state of Syracuse football right now is not good, and they're not recruiting their backyard. Your thoughts on that as a longtime coach and as someone who recruited Syracuse's backyard and benefited from the fact that Syracuse didn't recruit those kids?
Yeah, I always think that sometimes people and universities make hires that don't necessarily fit, that particular institution, and people really aren't invested, in that institution, other than the fact of, let me go there, see if I can win as quickly as I can, and then move on. I think that's part of the problem that some of these institutions have when they hire athletic directors, and also when they hire coaches. And the thing is that I think sometimes people get caught up in when they do try to recruit, they don't spend it. People that nowadays, in my opinion, not everybody, but I think a high percentages places, they don't really do the due diligence of, recruiting and digging in the dirt a little bit to find out more about certain kids and all those sort of things that you could find. And if a kid isn't a 4-star or 5-star or whatever, oh, he's not good enough. And sometimes people don't want to make their own evaluations. They want to let other people do the evaluating for them. And, if those guys were so good at evaluating, then to me, they'd be a general manager in the NFL or something along those lines, with all those credentials that they have. So I think one of the things is people need to understand that you have to do your due diligence in that 5-hour radius, in my opinion, if you're at Syracuse, because you're going to find some kids that aren't going to be 4 and 5 stars or even 3-star kids. I remember guys when I was at UConn the first time, Anthony Sherman, who played with the Chiefs, played for like 8-9 years and won Super Bowl. And, he used to make the comment, he said, I had 0 stars coming out of high school, and nowadays people don't want to do the due diligence of going and finding a kid or saying, well, geez, we can't recruit him because nobody else has recruited him, or he's not a 3-star or 4-star or whatever, because there's good athletes around, and whether it's in central New York or whether it's, in Pennsylvania, that you can find those type of kids. And to me, you have to have an administration that understands the fact that you have Syracuse is always going to be one of those programs, in my opinion, where you got to develop kids, and you're going to be good there. It's like Northwestern and say Wake Forest, take a look at those programs. They're pretty solid every year, but they're going to be really solid probably every 4 to 5 years because they bring kids in, they redshirt them. Those kids get a lot of experience, and then when they're 4th and 5th year seniors, they have, they're competing for the Big Ten championship. They're competing for the ACC championship like Wake Forest was, because those schools will do that. But they're good. Then like next year, Wake Forest probably won't be as strong. Northwestern wasn't as strong this year, and the previous year they were. So you got to know who you are, and I think that's part of the fact when it's who you hire as an AD, and knowing where you're at, and everything else, and you have a plan and you put that plan together, like that. And, you have coaches, if you can keep continuity in your coaches, because then you have the relationships with your assistant coaches in the areas that they recruit, and you develop that trust factor, with those schools. And then when you get kids, that come from that area, they know each other and it helps you. And I think that's who Syracuse is. You got to know who you are. Syracuse isn't going to be a school that's going to win in football every year. It's not that way anymore, and so you got to know who you are, and then you got to fit your plan around who you are. And I think for them, they need to get those kids from, Rochester, Buffalo, there's still some good kids up there, Eastern PA, but you got to spend the time. You can't just go and look at lists and say, we're going to go here and forget about, because those kids are going to be more loyal, the ones that are closer anyhow, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and you always valued that, and not only having Rob Drummond as a player at Syracuse, but Rob said, to keep connection with you, with Steve Adazio, and obviously Coach P and other people that have come through, that if you guys ever needed anything, he was there for that. Why did you always keep an eye on Central and upstate New York, even when you were at UConn and at Maryland? Why did you always keep a focus there?
Well, because I knew that area, and I know what type of an area it was, and I knew coaches from up there, and that, people that you could trust. And if I went in and asked them the tough questions, I could get that and then get the right answers. And the other thing is this, and again, Tyvon Branch was a guy that I recruited from CNS that came to UConn and played many, many years in the NFL and everything else. But, he was very fast and everything else, but he wasn't the finished product, because you can get kids up there that are going to get better. they haven't maxed out.
Yeah.
You know, they have the ability. And again, take a look at it. New York State football, you play 8 regular season games, I think. And then, you know, and so they're not playing a lot of football. So those kids aren't maxed out. They're going to continue to get better. And if they have the athleticism and they have the work ethic and they have the right attitude and everything else, they got a chance to probably grow and develop more than somebody that might have been a little bit more productive, but maybe those guys have maxed out and aren't going to get any better, you know. So I think that's one of the things that you know, and again, just because of the success of the guys that, you know, that I was around from that area, guys that I played with, you know, who were from the central New York, Rochester, you know, Buffalo area and all those things, and you know, the type of kids and the type, you know, and again, certain high school coaches, the type of programs that they come from, and, you know, I value that.
That coming here from Syracuse quarterback alum and longtime college and pro football coach Randy Edsall. Randy, there's a lot of stuff that I want to get into, and I don't want to dilute it here or make it rush with NIL and the transfer portal and the college football playoff and all that. So I'll look forward to having you back on soon. But before I let you go, I have a couple things to say to you. Number one, if I ever become the head coach of Syracuse football, you better come out of retirement and become at least a recruiting analyst for me, is what I would say.
No, I'm done. I'm done. I've had my time. I've enjoyed it and everything else. And now I like being able to wake up in the morning, do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and not have to, you know, like I said, it's time for somebody else to do that. I'm not interested in getting back.
So, and that's where I was going to go, is what's next. I mean, coaches say they're done all the time. I know I jokingly kind of threw that out there, but are you done, or is there ever a chance that a couple of years down the road you could come back?
No, I'm done. You know, and like I said, I enjoyed it, you know, and I put my heart and soul into it for 43 years. And now I want to do the stuff that I want to do that some of the things that I didn't do when I was coaching because of, you know, what I put into the job and what I felt I needed to do. And so now all I want to do is I'm enjoying playing golf, and, you know, went for a 6-mile run this morning and you know, just enjoying to do some of the things that I couldn't do before. And not that I'm, you know, because of what I was invested in before. I just want to relax and enjoy it. I was with a friend the other night, and you know, he said, "Do you have any stress in your life?" I said, "Nope." I said, and I looked at him and I said, "You know, this phone doesn't ring, you know, at night, or issues. I don't have to, you know, deal with certain things." And like I said, I loved doing it when I was involved with it, but now that I'm out of it, you know, I'm enjoying this because, again, it's the game's changed too, and you know, but I'm very satisfied with where I'm at and what I'm doing.
And coming from Randy Edsall. Randy, final note here. We talked about it off the air. Bills and Chiefs. You had some points that other people were bringing up. I'm coming full circle on the show this morning. I started the broadcast off talking about what could Josh Allen and Gabe Davis, what could they have done better than what they did? Gabe, 4 touchdowns receiving, more than any other player in the history of the NFL in a playoff game. And then we look at Josh Allen, who, you know, was right there with Pat Mahomes all the way through. So a couple questions here as a final note and as a coaching note. So I know you're not coaching anymore, but I gotta get you to think through the eyes and ears of a coach. Bring me into Buffalo scores. They're up 36-33, and there's 13 seconds on the clock. What you would have done and maybe what surprised you?
Well, you know, I was sitting watching the game with my wife, and as soon as they scored, I just said to her, I said, you squib kick it. I said, they got 3 timeouts left. I said, you squib kick it. You eat up some time there, and they shouldn't even have any time to get the ball up the field. And, you know, lo and behold, they go and she goes, they'll probably got to kick it deep. I said, well, I think that's a mistake when they kicked it deep. And so then when you do that, okay, I would have squibbed it and make some time come off the clock. But anyhow, so then they kick it through the end zone. Well, now, you know, you got 13 seconds. Kansas City's got 3 timeouts left. So to me, you still got to go and play aggressive. You might have just had a 3-man rush instead of a 4-man rush, and then play like a 5 underneath man with a 3 deep behind it. So those guys could be very, very aggressive. And again, it might take longer for them to get open, and they might only have one play left or whatever to be able to do that, but to not cover down the receivers and leaving them off. And then because of you just saw Hunt, how he made that one touchdown catch and went and ran with it. To me, you needed to get up and bang the receivers and run with them to cut down on any easy access throws, and you still could play man behind 3 deep under behind it with a 3-man rush. And again, because what you're trying to do is take as much time off the clock as opposed to letting him get the ball out of his hand, throw it to an uncovered guy. You got guys out there blocking. He does that, and then the next time to Kelsey, on the backside there, that guy isn't doing anything to try to get his hands on him. He just lets him get a clear run, and then it's there, and they didn't have anybody over there. So those would have been the things that, you sit there and you even beforehand, you just see that those are the things that I would have done. But most especially, I would have squibbed it to make them field it and, take a little bit of time off there where, they might only have 10 seconds or whatever.
Is Tyreek Hill, in your opinion, because this morning people are saying, Mahomes is better than Allen. They're both equally as good. Where do you fall? Because Allen doesn't have a Tyreek Hill, and without Tyreek Hill down the stretch there for that field goal opportunity of 49 yards from Harrison Butker, that's a 15-yard completion that doesn't turn into what Tyreek Hill turned it up to, and that man doesn't know how to go out of bounds, and he has a speed above everybody else. So bring me into this. Is Allen that far behind Pat Mahomes, or are people maybe leaning more on Mahomes saying he's better than Allen, not understanding the fact that Tyreek Hill was such a big part of that? And when you can throw the ball to a guy who can run about 75 miles an hour, it changes a game.
I think they're both very, very good, but I think they're both different. They're different types of quarterbacks. Mahomes is can run, but then has the uncanny ability to make certain throws and everything else where, I don't think Josh Allen is as good of a passer as Mahomes, but he's a big athlete who can, you can do some things running the ball, with him that you're not going to do with Mahomes because Mahomes can't take it physically. So it's hard to say that one's better than the other. I think they're both very, very good, and they both have different skill sets that I think both of those coaching staffs are doing a tremendous job of taking advantage of the skill sets that Josh Allen has and the skill set that Mahomes has. And it's evident by, really, what took place. And the other thing, too, is, Buffalo, again, is in a different situation to me because, where they're located and all that, they're doing some things based on the weather that they would have to play in and everything else. So, they're a little bit different schematically than, say, Kansas City. And then Kansas City, has done a great job of personnel getting guys who can really, make plays. And some of those guys aren't real big, but man, are they dynamic, and then, same thing with Buffalo. I mean, Josh Allen did a great job. It seemed like they might have been doubling Stephon and he went to the other guy, and that guy had a big day and everything else. So I just think it was a tremendous, but to separate those two, I think it's hard because I think they're both very good, and I think both coaching staffs do a tremendous job of taking advantage of not only the quarterback's skill set, but taking advantage of the personnel that they have and molding it all together to have the success that they've had.
That coming here from Randy Edsall this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, from a quarterback, speaking on the quarterbacks to round out our discussion today. Randy, I feel very spoiled to be able to have you on here. I appreciate your expertise and you answering my questions very candidly and openly here on today's show. So with that being said, I'd love to have you back, and I am so very grateful that through all my years of covering college football that I finally had the chance to meet up with you, get to talk with you over the years, and to be where we are right now. And I have to tell you, the first time I got to shake your hand, I'll never forget that Hawaiian shirt that you were wearing at Rhode Island when we were there for the American Athletic Kickoff. I'll never forget that blue Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, well, that was a good time when we went to Newport for those things, for the in the summer for the Classic, and then that was always good. And then coming down here to Ponte Vedra in the old Big East when we did that, but all that stuff is gone now, so that's just memories in the past. But I appreciate you having me on. It's been good, and like I said, the one thing is, I don't know if you could have ever had a better weekend if you were a football fan and watching those games. This past weekend, the way they all came down to the very end to decide the game. So a lot of exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Everything down to the last final second for all 4 games. And Randy, down to the final second, definitely appreciate everything you brought to the show. And I look forward to having you back soon. And I'm excited that you're appreciating retirement right now. So enjoy it, and I'll definitely make sure to have you back on.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. See you.
Bye-bye.
See you. That coming from Randy Edsall one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. There's so many places I could have gone. So many conversations to be had with Mr. Edsall. So, listen, I feel so privileged and thankful that we've had the opportunity to talk with each other. And, Randy's one of those guys that, first and foremost, if Rob Drummond speaks highly about anybody, then I want to meet them. And, Randy's just one of those people that has been so kind and given me his time, and we gotten to talk over the years, and then to finally get to meet each other and to actually meet face to face and shake hands at the opportunity that we have, the cookout that they were having for the American Athletic in Newport, Rhode Island, and we would have we had lobster. It was all free too, and then they would give us full lobsters. I kid you not, massive buffet, including at the end of the buffet your own lobster, and you could just keep going back up and get more lobster, and it became a thing of a lobster eating contest and who could set the record, and usually the linemen were getting after it, surprise, surprise, and having some fun with it. But getting to talk to Randy meant a lot to me. Getting to meet him a few years back, and then actually getting to have conversations with him where it's just like him and I talking, not just on the air, but when we just get in touch with each other and catch up. It's one of the great honors of my life, and I really do appreciate one of the greatest honors of my life, and I do appreciate it. So for Randy and for answering those questions, like he said, he would have come to Syracuse. There's things he would have done, and the opportunity never presented himself, but that he told us kind of his plan, and that he would have come here and he would have built something here. So just so that people know what could have been through the mouth and the words of Randy Edsall. So that being said, we'll take a final step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we spin back around, we'll wrap up today's show and get you set for the rest of the week. All right? Right after this. I'm honestly speechless, because that conversation with Randy, as much as we, spent almost an hour talking, I don't even feel I felt like it was 5 minutes. I felt like I was like, wait, but I have all this, and I have this, and I have this. It's just, he's the guy that you want to keep talking to. So maybe that's an idea down the road. We'll come back right after this fast break. Tune in to our fantastic partners in Central and Upstate New York, and then I have something to tell you about a new dish that's coming to Central New York, courtesy of yours truly and the great people at PB&J's Lunchbox. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecabal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Here at Progressive Dental, we understand the importance of regular dental visits and preventive care. Cleanings and checkups are essential to good oral health. We have multiple locations in the Southern Tier, so come visit us in Binghamton, Enwell, Kirkwood, Montrose, and Norwich. For self-pay non-insured patients, we offer the Smile Plan, which covers all of your cleanings, x-rays, and exams for an affordable yearly price. Call 607-754-2273 or 607-754-CARE to make an appointment today. For more information, visit our website at progressivedentalny.com.
The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you make your way out to the Millhouse Market every Tuesday through Sunday to their general store, as well as their indoor dining with a bistro menu that changes every single week with new specials. And, of course, their drive-through window to grab your food and go that you order off the app. And you can also call in to order as well. So make sure you head out to the Millhouse Market to enjoy any one of their many different ways to connect with them through their general store with local products from local companies, that indoor dining bistro menu, and, of course, the drive-through pickup window where you can grab your homemade breads as well as salads, quinoa bowls, rice bowls, desserts, and sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski, including a plethora of fantastic pizzas, specialty pizzas, brick oven pizzas that are so very good that you won't find anywhere else. The Millhouse Market is second to none, and they are there for you, serving the community on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every single time. With that being said, back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life inside the Cafe Kubal studios, I want to let you know that very, very cool, very exciting news is on the way right now. And for those of you that have already connected to us on the social medias, you've already seen it. That's why you got to be on each of these social media platforms, because when you're with us all the time, and you get the news before anybody else does. At Wake Up Call DT on the Facebook, at Call DT on Twitter, and at Wake Up Call _DT on Instagram. If you were on any of those this morning and last night, you know that Syracuse, New York is about to get something really cool, really interesting, really unique, and just for you exclusively at PB&J's Lunchbox. And that is the fact that I am bringing my homemade nachos to the community. The nachos that I make for my girlfriend and I at home, the DT's CNY nachos, are now going to be available for dining in at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, at the Street Side Cafe Monday through Saturday at PB&J's Lunchbox, as well as for delivery from Grubhub, DoorDash, and your other delivery methods that you have. Plenty of different ways to get the delivery at PB&J's Lunchbox. I'm making the announcement today. I am so excited, so pumped, so happy, so ready to tell you that DT's CNY nachos are what they're called, and it's my spin on nachos. I make them with tortilla chips, lettuce, black olives, black beans, jalapenos, as well as a mixture of grated cheese. Throw that in the oven for just a few minutes. Pop it out, shredded lettuce over the top, salsa on the side. You can put your protein on top of it. I like chicken, but I'm making it with the base traditional, so you can literally go there and get the DT CNY nachos and then put on it whatever you want. If you want to put beef on there, want to put chicken on there, want to put shrimp on there, if they have shrimp that day, whatever you want to do. So I am so excited to say that I can officially unveil to you that my nachos that I make at home, my specialty nachos that I make for my girlfriend and I, shout out to Carrie, those nachos are going to be available to you starting this Tuesday, January 25th, on site, on location, exclusively at PB&J's Lunchbox. They are on the menu starting this Tuesday, January 25th. Do not miss an opportunity to get that starting Tuesday, January 25th. My nachos on sale at PB&J's Lunchbox dine in 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, and order for takeout and delivery. You can get delivery from DoorDash, Grubhub, and other avenues that they have at PB&J's Lunchbox. So my nachos will be able for you to take out, to dine in, and to have for delivery. Any one of those options, you can take them with you or have them there. The DT's CNY nachos, the way I make them at home, are coming to you. And by the way, the video of our creation of the nachos at PB&J's Lunchbox is now airing on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. It's on Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Twitter has the link at CallDT, and Facebook has a link at WakeUpCallDT on Facebook, pardon me. So make sure you check out any one of those avenues and watch as owner Pat Orr and myself make the DT's nachos on site, on location. Do not miss it. I'm so excited about it. So special thanks to everybody that's connected with me here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called
Welcome
life.
here
A
to
big
Wake Up
thanks
Call.
to each and every single one of you that has been a part of the show. I appreciate you, and I thank you so much for connecting with us here. And I look forward of all that is to come on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Big shout out to everybody that listens to us and watches us live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can watch on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. And you can listen on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT and on the homepage of WakeUpCallDT.com, where the live feed is embedded. Of course, on the archives, Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Podbean, iHeartRadio, and more. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big thanks to our Central and Upstate New York partners, Cafe Cubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. You can order from any one of the 50 states by going to maandpaspopcorn.com, as well as Progressive Dental. Big shout out to Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Lemoyne Dolphins, the Millhouse Market, Honda City of Liverpool, Mother's Cupboard, Victory Sports Medicine Orthopedics, and PB&J's Lunchbox, where you can get the DT's CNY nachos on sale exclusively at PB&J's on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, starting this Tuesday, January 25th. With that being said, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's fins up all day, day when it comes to Lemoyne, and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time is Dolphin Time. Set it and keep it every single month. New episodes airing based on Lemoyne College and the stories of those within it to tell. I'm so excited that the Lemoyne Dolphins have Dolphin Time every Wednesday at 9 a.m. exclusively on Wake Up Call, and first and third Wednesday, new episodes air of AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. And every second and fourth Wednesday, we have the Dolphin Dive with new episodes airing with student athletes, coaches, and staff members. Check it all out at youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT by clicking subscribe. Go to the Lemoyne tab on WakeUpCallDT.com and click subscribe. And of course, you can always go to LemoyneDolphins.com for more information. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Marywood University Pacers. It's Pacer Pride every Friday to round out the week. The Pacers bring us home with Pacer Pride exclusive episodes airing with Executive Director of Athletics Pat Murphy, coaches, and student athletes all throughout each month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find all of these by going to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT and clicking subscribe. You can also go to the Marywood tab on WakeUpCallDT.com, and you can go to MarywoodPacers.com for more information. With that being said, I hope you have a fantastic day. Check out the videos. And by the way, at noon Eastern Time today, I am going to unveil my challenge with the Syracuse men's cross-country team as Mother's Cupboard owner Pete Green, myself, Dan Tortora, and two gentlemen from the Syracuse men's cross-country team. And I'm very, very excited to say that those two gentlemen that are going to be there, spoiler alert, Aiden Tooker and Joe Dragon, are joining us for a 4-person food challenge on site, on location, with the cinnamon French. I am so excited. The cinnamon French toast that they have there on site with a Syracuse twist with some orange frosting on it, as well as eggs, bacon, and home fries. The challenge is on today at noon. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and watch as I take on Syracuse men's cross country, Pete Green, the owner of Mother's Cupboard. It's so exciting. Another DT food challenge on site, on location at Mother's Cupboard comes to you at noon today. So that's coming up at noon. Thanks to Randy Edsall and Jerod Smith for 2 fantastic conversations this morning. Thank you to an entire weekend filled with awesome football, thanks to the 8 teams that were in the NFL playoffs. And a big thanks to all of you that listen and watch and support and read. I appreciate you so much. Find it all on WakeUpCallDT.com. So much to come with you today. And if you're not on our social media, you are missing out on everything. I'll see you at noon for our food challenge, and I'll see you tomorrow as we truly get to unveil our DT's CNY nachos. As I told you about it today, but they go on sale tomorrow at PB&J's Lunchbox exclusively. So looking forward to that. Shout out to Pat Orr and Sue and the team, and I'll talk with you all soon. From the Cafe Kubal Studios, this is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We have a great week coming up for you. Stay tuned, stay locked into it, and you know it, as always. God bless, no stress.